Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the report. I'm Yasmin, Khatun. As usual, I'll be taking a look at news stories from around the globe. With worldwide attention on the Boko Haram kidnappings in Nigeria, we'll be taking an in-depth look at the issues surrounding the standoff, including trending tweet, "Bring back our girls," and other topics on Twitter this week. But with Syrian government forces gaining a strong foothold in the capital of the revolution, Homs, and the ongoing crisis in the Central African Republic, here's your global news roundup.
The Syrian government has taken control of the city of Homs. Convoys have been arranged by the government to evacuate rebel fighters and civilians out of the city. After holding the city for nearly 2 years, rebel forces were hit by an intense siege and bombardment by Syrian government forces, forcing a deal to be agreed between the two sides. Newly appointed Homs provisional governor, Talal Barazis, said that efforts were continuing to completely free the city of fighters and arms.
تكمل الإجراءات التي بدأناها بالأمس ونعتقد أنه في الساعات القليلة القادمة سننتهي نهائيا من هذا الملف وتعود كل الأحياء خالية من السلاح والمسلحين.
Some areas in Homs still remain in rebel hands, including the stronghold town of Rastan. Government forces have also lost ground in the south to rebel brigades. The fall of Syria's third largest city to government forces is a major blow to the opposition and a boost for President Bashar al-Assad, who will seek re-election in the forthcoming elections. The recent successes by the government are attributed to the military assistance of Hezbollah forces and infighting between some rebel groups. Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan pledged yesterday to find more than 200 schoolgirls that were captured in Nigeria by rebel group Boko Haram last month. In his opening address to the World Economic Forum in the capital Abuja, he conveyed a firm stance to the issue.
I believe that the kidnap of these girls will be the beginning of end of terror in Nigeria.
Boko Haram leader Abu Bakr Shekau, in a video published this week, indicated as to the fate of the hostages, saying that he would sell the girls. Many countries such as France, the United Kingdom and China have condemned the act, with the UN expressing it would be a war crime if they sold the girls. While denouncing the kidnappings, some commentators have highlighted that Nigerian authorities have also detained the wives and children of Boko Haram leaders in the last few years, saying that this could have been a contributing factor to the latest kidnappings. Others have also pointed to poverty and corruption within the country. The issue has attracted global attention, accelerated mainly through the use of social media sites like Twitter, with hashtags such as "Bring Our Girls Back" being retweeted over 1 million times. The Nigerian authorities have offered a reward of £177,000 for anyone with credible information which could lead to the whereabouts of the girls. The medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières has suspended all but emergency care in the Central African Republic this week to show its dismay at the government's failure to condemn the killings of 16 people at one of its clinics. MSF staff members were among those killed in an armed robbery at his clinic in the northern town of Bogila last week, with at least 4 others killed in the town.
After the massacre that happened in Bogila 1 week ago, MSF has decided to suspend its activity because this attack is an attack not only on the workers of MSF but on the community of Bogila. And this is not an isolated attack. It happens everywhere in the country, and at some point MSF will have to take a strong position and defend its space to work for the population of MSF, for the population of Central African Republic. And this is what we're doing today. We're sending a very strong signal to those who have responsibility for the armed groups and for those who have responsibility in the country to avoid these attacks in the future.
Thousands have been killed in recent months in intercommunal killings between Muslims and Christian militia. Nearly 1 million Muslims have fled their homes to escape attacks from the anti-Balaka Christian movement. The suspension, expected to last a week, will also affect MSF's non-emergency activities in Chad, Cameroon and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The interim government, assisted by thousands of French, African and European Union peacekeepers, have struggled to stop violence in the vast landlocked country. Western embassies in Yemen heightened security measures yesterday after increasing attacks on foreign workers by Al-Qaeda fighters. The United States has suspended operations of its embassy in Sana'a, with other embassies expected to follow suit. The move came as Yemeni government forces entered the town of Azan, the last major attack, in a 10-day campaign against rebel groups in the south. Government troops captured a mountainous Al-Mahfad area in Abiyan province last week, leaving Azan in Shabwa as the group's main remaining stronghold. Al-Qaeda in Yemen has been blamed for attacks against security forces, foreigners and oil and gas facilities. The town of Azan was declared part of the Islamic Emirate in 2011 by Ansar al-Sharia, an Al-Qaeda affiliate. The government's latest offensive is the most concerted campaign against the group in nearly 2 years. Afzal Ahmed, The Report, Islam Channel.
Now with me in the studio to discuss some of these stories is Andrew Walker, a freelance journalist and author of a 2012 report called What is Boko Haram, and James Schneider, editor-in-chief of online magazine Think Africa Press. Okay, thank you both for joining us in the studio today. As we've seen in the news and all week, people have been talking about the kidnappings in Nigeria. Over 200 girls, young girls missing, and we're being told that they're going to be sold. A very scary thought for all of us here. But is this something that's been happening regularly, and is this something that we're likely to see more of? Is this a tactic of war? Can I go to you first, James?
Not of this scale. There have been kidnappings before, but not quite of so many people, which is part of the reason why it's grabbed such attention. Boko Haram have been moving more towards kidnapping as a tactic, both of kidnapping of foreign people, which has only happened in a limited number of ways, which appears to be a tactic imported from AQIM affiliates in Mali, but also kidnapping girls. There was a large kidnapping last year and some escaped, and that is in order to sell them off. I mean, as long as their capabilities remain relatively high, they're not going to stop doing this as one of their tactics.
Andrew, there's an article in The Guardian that I was looking at where we're being told that Boko Haram women were also kidnapped in 2011, where the Nigerian police began to detain wives and children of military leaders. Did that sort of set a precedent, or did we start seeing these sorts of kidnappings after that?
It's certainly a tactic generally used by the Nigerian police. If they're looking for someone, if they believe that they have information about someone they want to find, not even Boko Haram, an armed robber or something like that, it's quite often that they will go find somebody, this member of that person's family, take them into custody and basically hold them until they either find the person or the family member gives up where they are. I mean, that's a tactic that has been happening with the police for a long time. And back in 2011, I interviewed a woman who had been arrested by the police in just such a fashion. They'd found an arms cache. They'd basically traced someone who'd fled from a checkpoint in Damaturu, and they found in the grounds of this building an arms cache. And after a shootout with some people, Boko Haram members, they arrested the people's 2 wives and several children. And I guess they held them there until I think quite recently there was a release. The government actually released some of the wives and children that they were holding, reportedly including also the wife of Abubakar Shekau, the man who we've all seen in the videos.
So do you think that tactic has failed? Because that's what we saw in this particular piece in The Guardian. They were saying, well, this actually backfired on the Nigerian government now by taking these women, because Abubakar, he mentioned himself, supposedly, that we will also kidnap your women because his wife and so forth was kidnapped.
I think in many ways it's a tactic of kind of desperation anyway, because their capacity to do anything is so low. They can't, they don't have the forensic capacity. They don't have the ability to kind of follow up these kind of leads that, say the FBI or the European Interpol or anything like that have. So it's very basic. It's like, get among those people, find their relatives, right, hold them, and really kind of, it's a very gritty kind of way of dealing with it. So, I mean, there has obviously been some kind of to and fro with it, but you've seen with the government releasing their people and in return getting something back. But it's whether it's working on a large scale or on a long-term scale, it's obviously not.
Can I bring you in, James? Weeks into these kidnappings, these girls are still missing. What's the likelihood of us finding these girls, and how's that mission going ahead?
that's pretty much impossible to say when or whether or how these girls will be found. And there's currently a Nigerian mission in order to find them. But as Andrew was just saying, there's real kind of capability difficulties. They're getting some help from the outside, as they have been getting help from the outside before. But, I mean, at this stage, it's pretty much impossible to say, right, well, probably in the next 3 weeks they'll be found or anything like that. There's no strong evidence yet to suggest that the Nigerian government will be able to just go and get them back.
And why is the Nigerian government being criticised so much? Because internationally, all we're hearing is they're not doing enough. What are they actually able to do? I
think the government are taking the brunt of the criticism because people accept that Boko Haram will behave in a really atrocious manner. They kind of see them as not being something that they could ever control, but they expect, more of their government. And this has really exposed the low level of general capacity of the government. It's not that the government deliberately isn't doing something for this situation. It's that in general, across the board, education, energy, health, policing, it's not only that, it's just security that it's incapable of doing things, it's also in everything.
And a lot of that outrage and condemnation has come from the government's sort of public statements or inability to come out and quickly say, this is terrible, this is what we're doing, or this is what we're going to try to do. The fact that Goodluck Jonathan, for about 2 weeks, didn't say anything about it at all. The fact that when there was a large protest in Abuja, the capital for it, two of the leaders of the protest saying, bring back our girls, were arrested, apparently on the say-so of the wife of the president. It's these kind of things which make it seem like the government has other interests rather than this as the primary interest. And it is in part because the government does interpret some of Boko Haram's actions through a political prism, and they do view either people criticising the government as being part of the opposition, or they do view part of Boko Haram's actions as being instigated against his presidency by political figures, not just as some kind of religious sect.